What's up, guys? I'm super excited about today's episode. We are climbing at Brimstone Boulders, which used to be an old church that was made in the late 19th century. So throughout the video, you'll notice there is a bit of a orange glow from the stained glass, which I think is super cool. But let's jump right into the first couple problems. Starting out here, we have a green V1 that I decided to do as my first problem of the day. You know, get the blood pumping, get the fingers nice and warm. So yeah, as I mentioned, this church was made in the late 19th century. I believe it was 1894, I think is what I read. And, you know, all this time I never knew Hood River had a climbing gym until just recently. And apparently this gym opened up right before COVID. And so that's probably why I haven't heard of it until now. But next problem we're doing here is a red V3. So this one felt a little bit soft for the grade, but looked like another great one to warm up on. Staying consistent with the color, moving into a red V4. Now this one I wanted to do next because it had the nice slopey rounded holds, and I thought that would be a good way to warm up my forearms after driving all day. So trying to keep my body low here, stay under those slopers. That was my main focus with my body movement on this problem. These holds didn't feel quite as good as I originally thought, and right here I was trying to figure out where that foothold was. But we got to the top just okay, and that was another great problem on my warm-up. So next problem we have here is a pink V5. Now this one I decided to do because, contrary to the slopey problem, this one had a lot of crimps. So now it was time to warm up the fingers a little bit more. So move my left hand back to the starting hold, bringing the heel up. I made a bit of a dynamic move through those next two crimps. Decided to match here, come up with the left hand, bring the left foot up, and then kind of make a bigger move over to that second to last hold. So here on the same wall, on the same inclines, we have an orange V6. This one also looked pretty crimpy, but it looked like it had some really cool shouldery movement, which tends to be my favorite type of climbing. So working the hands and feet up kind of in a step-like motion. I decided to bring a heel hook here. Felt really natural, it felt really secure, but here I kind of slip out a little bit as I go for this second to last hold, but control the swing and get the top out. So this was one of the most fun problems of the entire session, this blue V7. This blue one starts on a little ledge here, and then you kind of do a crossover move and then work yourself out to some crimps on the right side. And all of these crimps were just god-awful, very, very small. But based on the nature of how the climb moved, this problem was just super, super fun. So right here, I got the pocket, and then kind of found myself stuck a little bit. And decided to bail off of it and kind of take another look. So this time, once again, moving out across to the right side into those crimps. So right here I decided to get that left foot on the crimp before stepping up, and this time I took a higher right foot, and that allowed me to make the crossover move. So now, with both hands on those pinches, I moved out to the crimp and then tried to bump my left hand up to the other crimp, and unfortunately didn't have the right body positioning. So my third go, once again walking up on the crimps, And as you can tell, it's a lot more fluid now that I know the beta. And this crossover move is super sick. Definitely a highlight of the entire problem. So this time I decided to keep my left foot on that lower hold. And that allowed me to get the crimp much more easily. And then finishing off with a flag, switching the feet, and there we go. We got the top out. So the next problem we did was a pink V6. I decided to do this one after the last one as a way to kind of cool down the fingers and, you know, take a little bit of weight off my hands, get a little bit of a recovery. So I think, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I've really been liking slab climbs recently. I've really started to get a lot better at them too. They used to be one of my weaknesses, and now I feel like they are something that I actually am pretty good at, all things considered. So moving on to this next problem, we have an orange V5. Now this one was a little bit weird. It had a bunch of these meat hook holds, which I don't get to climb a lot actually, so that was one reason I wanted to climb this problem. So from here I decided to swing out to the other wall, get my left foot on that little small hold, and then continue to move my hands up the meat hooks before getting the top out. Not my favorite problem of the session, but definitely was a skill I haven't done a lot. So the next problem here is a pink V4. Now this problem kind of had a cool start. After moving the foot over, you got a little left heel hook, and that felt like the most natural and secure way to go about it. There's a little extra flair on my leg swing there. So overall, I really like the setting in this gym. I would say overall the grades seem a little soft, but the setting itself is just super, super cool. And I really like the walls and the angles that they have at this gym. So moving on, here is a yellow V5. Now this one was actually really deceptively difficult. Through the sequence right here, first I decided to have my feet pointed left. That really didn't work. So I decided to give it another read and try again. So moving into this left-hand pinch, I decided to bump it out to the vertical pinch and then get a heel hook. Now at this point I was kind of just busting through this with strength. The technique doesn't look horrible either, but this one was a very strenuous problem. Just nothing felt super comfortable. Didn't feel like you could lay off the gas too much. And I decided to get a heel hook here. I don't know why. Maybe it was the good call, maybe it wasn't, but glad to be done with that one. And this was the final problem of the session, a yellow V6. And this happened to be one of the coolest problems I did the entire session. It also tended to be one of the most difficult I did this entire session. So those first couple crimps were horrendous, very difficult to hold on to as you tried to avoid dabbing all over the other holds that were on that wall. So this attempt that I sped up, unfortunately Josh stood right in front of the camera, and I did get the send, but I decided I wanted to redo it, clean up the technique anyways. So here we go again. So swapping my feet over, moving my right hand to the crimp, my left foot up, moving to the sloper, match on that other crimp, or not match, bump over. And then this time I decided to move my left foot up a little bit, but that didn't quite work. So doing it once again, moving through this crimp section, my fingers were really hurting at this point. We'd actually done a little bit of rope climbing that same weekend, so things things were a little tiring. So shaking out right here before that second to last hold, I just had to move my left foot higher this time, and that felt way better. And I was able to get the top out with much better technique than the first time. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.